The hunting vessel Kethmaran descended through Earth's atmosphere with the confidence of apex predators who had never known defeat. Captain Zelthor adjusted his bioscanner, watching the readings with satisfaction. The third planet of this unremarkable star system showed all the hallmarks of a perfect hunting ground: diverse megafauna, varied terrain, and most importantly, a sentient species that had yet to develop interstellar travel. "Preliminary scans complete, Captain," reported his second-in-command, Vexuri. "The dominant species appears to be bipedal, averaging 1.8 meters in height. Minimal natural armor, no claws, blunt teeth. They've barely mastered combustion technology." Zelthor's mandibles clicked in amusement. The Keithmori had built their reputation across 17 star systems as the galaxy's premier big game hunters. They sought out the most dangerous predators on Deathworlds, planets where evolution had crafted killing machines of unprecedented lethality. Earth's designation as a Class 7 Deathworld had drawn them here like moths to a flame. "Any sign of the apex predators our long-range sensors detected?" Zelthor asked. "Scattered across the continents, Captain. Large quadrupeds with impressive dentition, massive reptilian specimens, and various pack hunters. The locals called them bears, crocodiles, and wolves according to their primitive communication networks. The hunting party materialized in a dense forest, their advanced camouflage rendering them nearly invisible." Zelthor breathed deeply, tasting the rich oxygen content that made Deathworld so conducive to producing massive, aggressive life forms. His bioscanner immediately picked up movement, something large approaching through the undergrowth. "Contact," whispered Vexuri, raising his plasma rifle. Massive specimen, approximately 400 kilograms, moving with purpose. The creature that emerged from between the trees was magnificent. A brown bear, muscles rippling beneath thick fur, standing nearly 3 meters tall on its hind legs. Its black eyes scanned the area with predatory intelligence, and its massive paws could clearly crush bone with ease. "Perfect," Zelthor breathed. "A true apex predator of this Deathworld. Prepare the stasis nets." But before they could act, another figure stepped into the clearing, one of the local sentients, a human according to their databases. The creature was smaller than the bear, wearing simple cloth coverings and carrying what appeared to be primitive camping equipment. The hunters exchanged glances. They were about to witness the natural order of this Deathworld in action. The bear noticed the human immediately. The hunter's universal translators crackled to life as the human spoke. "Oh, hey there, big guy," the human said, his voice carrying none of the fear pheromones the Kethmori expected. "You're a pretty one, aren't you?" Zelthor's bioscanner went haywire. Instead of terror, the human's readings showed calm curiosity. The bear dropped to all fours and began approaching, and incredibly, the human didn't flee. "Easy, easy," the human continued, slowly reaching into his pack. "I bet you're hungry. Lucky for you, I've got some of those salmon jerky treats." The hunters watched in stunned silence as the human, this supposedly primitive, defenseless creature, pulled out strips of dried fish. The massive predator, which should have torn the human limb from limb, instead sat down like an oversized pet. "That's right, you remember me, don't you, Bruno?" the human said, tossing a piece of jerky. The bear caught it with surprising gentleness and made what could only be described as a pleased rumbling sound. Vexuri's grip tightened on his weapon. "Captain, this makes no sense. That creature should be consuming the local." "There's a name for you, isn't there?" the human continued, completely oblivious to the aliens watching him. "The park rangers said you've been coming to this area for 3 years now. Always friendly, never aggressive. You're just a big softy, aren't you?" The human approached closer, and the bear, this apex predator of a Deathworld, rolled onto its back like a domesticated animal seeking attention. The human began rubbing the creature's belly, and the bear's pleased rumbling intensified. "I don't understand the readings," Vexuri whispered. "The predator's stress hormones have decreased. Its heart rate is relaxed. This defies everything we know about Deathworld ecosystems." Zelthor watched as the human continued to interact with the bear, sharing food, speaking in gentle tones, even taking what appeared to be pictorial records with a primitive device. When a smaller bear emerged from the forest, the human greeted it with equal warmth. "Oh, look who's here. Is this your cub, Bruno? She's gotten so big since last summer." The scene that followed shattered every assumption the Kethmori had made about Deathworld species. The human played with both bears, documented their behavior with scientific curiosity, and eventually bid them farewell as one might leave old friends. As the human departed, he paused and looked directly at the spot where the hunters were concealed. For a moment, Zelthor was certain they'd been detected, but the human simply smiled and called out, "I know someone's out there. Probably another wildlife photographer. These bears are pretty special, aren't they? They've learned that humans often mean food and kindness, not danger." Makes you think about the relationship between intelligence and aggression, doesn't it? The human disappeared into the forest, leaving the hunters in stunned silence. Zelthor's mandibles clicked nervously as he processed what he'd witnessed. "Captain," Vexuri's voice was barely a whisper. "If the supposedly defenseless species can pacify the apex predators through social bonding, what does that make them?" Zelthor looked down at his plasma rifle, then at his bioscanner, still registering the lingering calm pheromones in the area. The implications hit him like a meteor strike. Any species that could turn Deathworld predators into companions through nothing but patience and kindness possessed a form of power the Kethmori had never encountered. "Pack everything," he ordered. "We're leaving." "Captain, these aren't prey animals, Vexuri. They're something far more dangerous than any predator we've ever hunted." Zelthor's voice carried a tremor of fear. "They're predators who've learned to make friends with their food chain." The Kethmoran departed Earth's atmosphere within the hour, and the planet was immediately classified as a no-contact zone in perpetuity. The official report stated that Earth's apex predators were too dangerous for conventional hunting. The unofficial truth, whispered in hunting lodges across the galaxy, was far more terrifying. Earth was inhabited by creatures so advanced in the art of predation that they had convinced their prey to love them for it. And somewhere in a forest on Earth, a man named David continued his wildlife photography, completely unaware that he had just redefined what it meant to be the apex species on a Deathworld.